So today we have a handful of topics to go over, including AJ Lee, Paul Heyman, Jeff Hardy, and much more. Let's start things off with the AJ Lee situation because fans made AJ go trending after what happened on Raw. Big E and Drew McIntyre had their conversation interrupted by Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler comes out and basically takes credit for the Big E and Drew McIntyre's recent success. Drew McIntyre main evented WrestleMania, defeated Brock Lesnar, and became a two-time champion over the last year and a half, while Big E has also seen a lot of success with his Money in the Bank win and WWE title win. Ziggler talked about how Drew McIntyre and himself were a team in 2018 and showed some footage from back then. Dolph Ziggler also pulled up some footage from 2013 where Big E and Ziggler were working alongside each other, and E was basically serving as Ziggler's muscle. However, there's one big issue with the footage that they showed. It seemed like WWE went out of their way to completely make sure AJ Lee was fully edited out of all the Ziggler and Big E clips. WWE did a great job with their footage of making it seem like it was just Dolph and Big E, but fans who were watching back then know that this is far from the truth. It wasn't just Dolph and Big E. That was a trio of Dolph, Big E, and AJ Lee. It wasn't just an ordinary tag team. It was a trio that heavily featured AJ Lee. You're talking about 2013. That was right around the peak of AJ Lee as a character. This was when she was one of WWE's most popular stars. Her character had an unstoppable characteristic that made the trio even more interesting, and she had obviously played a big role in the breakup of the trio as well. So when you take all that WWE history into consideration, just to see them erase her out of the story like it never happened, it did leave some fans with a bad taste in their mouth. They couldn't even show her for a second, and had to make sure they fully cut her out of that throwback footage. It's extremely petty, especially considering the fact that AJ quietly retired and never spoke badly about WWE at all. It just looks like the problem for AJ is that she's guilty by association. She's married to CM Punk, so as a result of that fact, she basically gets the same treatment that he gets from WWE. After that moment went on air, AJ Lee went trending on Twitter because fans were discussing her removal and why they did that to her. It would have been nice to have an actual full callback to the trio of Ziggler, Big E, and AJ, but that wasn't happening on WWE's watch. Big news was just dropped by Jeff Hardy on Raw, and if you weren't paying close attention, you could have missed it. After he came up unsuccessful in his United States title match with Damian Priest, Jeff Hardy was interviewed in the middle of the ring about what was next for him on Smackdown. Jeff Hardy specifically said that we're going to see a different side of him, and that we're going to see an alter ego of his as well over on SmackDown. Obviously, hardcore wrestling fans and Jeff Hardy fans know that he was directly referring Willow. Willow is Jeff Hardy's popular alter ego, similar to The Fiend, similar to the Demon. Willow serves as Jeff Hardy's alter ego. Willow has never truly made an appearance in WWE, but was heavily featured in Impact Wrestling. Willow is extremely different from ordinary Jeff Hardy. Willow sorta has this Riddler, Joker sorta feel to him. You can even compare it to Bray Wyatt. It's in that same sort of ballpark. That's why Jeff Hardy always wanted to introduce Willow to WWE during a feud with Bray Wyatt because of all the similarities they shared as characters. Willow is a character that would have no doubt been a perfect fit for the Firefly Funhouse. Last time we talked about Willow was a few weeks ago. Jeff Hardy said that he was in talks with the original Willow mask creator, and he confirmed that Willow would be appearing again before the end of his wrestling career. Fans were just unsure if Willow would appear in WWE or somewhere else. But telling by Hardy's comments on Raw, that sounded like 100% confirmation that Willow is coming to SmackDown. So that's very exciting and very interesting. This alter ego of Jeff Hardy has never been seen before in WWE. So there's probably going to be some fans out there that have no idea what to expect from Willow. So we'll have to see how they handle Willow's introduction and usage in WWE. Does Jeff Hardy go on a losing streak? Does something else dramatic happen to him that makes him enter his alter ego? Lots of questions there for sure, but at least it seems Willow is definitely on his way to WWE for the first time. So this will be a great moment for Jeff Hardy to reinvent himself once again. This week's Monday Night Raw actually provided us with a short but crucial moment for Roman Reigns' storyline. Jimmy J and Paul Heyman were all at Raw after being given that direct order from Roman to do whatever it takes to make sure his cousins get drafted back to Smackdown. And whatever strings Heyman pulled behind the scenes ended up working. Not only did Jimmy and Jay get selected second overall for the night too, they also got drafted back to Smackdown, keeping the bloodline perfectly intact. We then got a quick backstage moment of Jimmy and Jay celebrating the draft pick, while Paul Heyman is sitting in the background looking up to the sky and mouthing the words, "Thank you." Obviously, Heyman was extremely fearful of what would have happened to him if he went back to Roman on SmackDown without Jimmy and Jay being drafted there. Who knows what Roman would have done there in that moment to Heyman. But it all ended up working out, and Heyman might have just bought himself some more time on Roman's good side by getting Jimmy and Jay back to SmackDown. Heyman and the Usos were stopped backstage for an interview, and the vibe seemed great. They're all happy with the pick, and they're all celebrating. But the interviewer brings up how Heyman helped Brock Lesnar with his draft selection as well, and the mood instantly changes. Jimmy and Jay give Heyman the meanest of looks before walking away and leaving him alone. And it's a bit weird because we originally got that reveal on SmackDown that Heyman helped Brock Lesnar with the draft. So Jimmy and Jay should have already been aware of that fact. So for them to act like this moment here on Raw was the first time that they were hearing about it was a bit strange. But guess it was just meant to serve as a cliffhanger for Heyman's bloodline status. Is he out? Is he in? It looks like they want to keep us guessing until SmackDown rolls around and we get to see that answer. But as it stands right now, it appears that Jimmy and Jay aren't so high on Paul Heyman. We saw right away on the SmackDown after SummerSlam that Jimmy and Jay seemed to be all out on Heyman. They questioned him about Brock Lesnar and locked him outside in the hallway. Heyman couldn't get in until Roman arrived. So maybe the bloodline has a plan that they discussed behind closed doors, and that's what they're seeing unfold right now. Or maybe this is just how things are. Roman Reigns wants to have faith in Heyman. He wants to believe that Heyman is loyal to him. But the Usos are trying to tell him that Heyman has to go. This could be interesting because who knows? Maybe this leads to a big conflict within the bloodline. If the Usos warned Roman about Heyman being disloyal, but Roman ignores them and then Heyman turns on them at a critical moment, maybe that's the moment where Jimmy and Jay walk away from Roman for basically choosing to trust an outsider over family. So that's just one way, but there's just so many routes you can take this in. But it appears that Jimmy and Jay are on high alert for Paul Heyman's scheme that's going on here. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.